What is going on? What is up? What is up, Fight Hype Live, Fight Hype family, boxing fans around the country and around the world, here from the illustrious, elaborate, cutting-edge, high-tech studios in Las Vegas, Nevada for Fight Hype Live. It's your host and your man, Sean Zittel. After another weekend of boxing where Brian Bomac McIntyre, he had a great win in coaching Chris Eubank, made Chris Eubank look like 3 or 4 times the fighter he was in his first fight with Liam Smith, only for some bad news to happen. And so you guys know when everything's going great in life and sometimes you almost expect, like, am I forgetting something? When's the other shoe going to drop? Everything's going well. When's something bad going to happen? And that's kind of what happened to Bomac, Brian McIntyre, the trainer of the number 1 pound-for-pound fighter of the world, Terence Crawford, who today was arrested on possession of a firearm back in the United Kingdom. He is in custody, and apparently he will be kept in jail until his court date, October 9th. So he was traveling with a firearm, got stopped at the airport, and that's the case now with Bomac, Brian McIntyre. He is going to be, we don't know for sure yet, but it sounds like he will be in jail until his court date, October 9th. So this is that kind of scenario in life where everything's going well and then the other shoe drops. And it takes away from... What sucks for Bomac, Brian McIntyre, is it takes away from what was about the finest month or so of his career as a trainer. His fighter, Terence Crawford, dominated Errol Spence. What was supposed to be Leonard Hearns turned into Mayweather Gotti. And Derek James was coming off of being the trainer of the year, the most renowned trainer in 2022, leading Errol Spence to unified at welterweight and Jermell Charlo at undisputed at 154. Frank Martin dominating Michelle Rivera, and Bomac outcoached and dominated Derek James head to head. So, and then after Roy Jones, tried to have Chris Eubank mimic a lot of his own skills, which never really goes well for Roy Jones as a trainer. Roy, one of the all-time great fighters, but not a great trainer, because everything he tries to teach can't translate to anybody. It's only stuff Roy's own skills don't translate once he got past his prime. The stuff that Roy teaches can only really be used effectively by himself when he was in his prime. So going to Brian McIntyre, Chris Eubank became 3 or 4 times the fighter in this rematch with Liam Smith, and it highlighted and probably cemented Bomac's bid for Trainer of the Year. He's probably still going to receive that award, Trainer of the Year. And all that now is offset by what happened for him now in the United Kingdom after this Chris Eubank win. So it's a shame for Brian McIntyre, because he's coming off the finest month or so of his career, and he's on his way to winning Trainer of the Year in 2023. Luckily, the rest of Team Crawford, Red Spikes, Esau Diegas, Bomac's left and right hand men who are his co-trainers, everything's fine with them. But this leads me to the next point of, and we'll touch on Chris Eubank. Well, before I get to that point, I want to touch again on Chris Eubank. Great job by Chris Eubank over the weekend. People like me thought Liam Smith was gonna be harder than the first time around, but Liam Smith was gonna repeat the job. He did not. Seem to come in a little overconfident, but was just beaten by the more talented and better man who took advantage of all his superior gifts on this night under Brian McIntyre. And Chris Eubank had a great jab. He set up combinations off his jab beautifully. He tied up a lot. The referee did allow him to get away with a little bit of excessive clinching, especially early. He didn't need to clinch as much once he hurt Liam Smith and dropped him in the 4th. Liam Smith was less hesitant to come in and apply that pressure, and so Chris Eubank didn't need to tie up as much. And then he started to outfight Liam Smith on the inside, getting off 3, 4, 5 to 1 in the punch count on the inside. Beautiful hand speed and combinations to the head, to the body. Sometimes Liam Smith in that high guard would catch shots up top, and Chris Eubank gradually broke him down with some of those left hooks to the body in the middle of his sequence of punches. And then he did a beautiful job off the jab, setting up his best punch, the right uppercut, time and again. So great job by Brian McIntyre. But which leads me to my next point, though, for Bomac, which is not only does this take away from the finest month of his career, Errol Spence doesn't beat Terence Crawford and without Terence Crawford giving him some help. This is also my opinion with Jermell Charlo and Canelo Alvarez later this month. Jermell doesn't beat Canelo without some help from Canelo. What do I mean by that? Canelo has to show up flat and kind of uninspired like he has for his last 3 fights against Golovkin, Bivol, and Ryder. And he needs to get tired by the 7th and 8th round like he did against those 3 guys. If Canelo shows up like he did against Plant and Callum Smith and Rocky Felding and Billy Joe Saunders, he should be fine against Charlo. It's a fight. It's a competitive fight. Charlo's a great champion at 54 moving up. But what I'm saying is Charlo needs some help from Canelo. He needs Canelo to show up flat like he has lately. And same thing with Spence with Terence Crawford. He's not going to beat the Terence Crawford that showed up July 29th. Not no way, not no how. He's not going to beat him. Maybe he could, at 154 pounds with an amazing camp, his punches being sharper and not pushing his shots with no snap on him, and him just being across the board better, he can improve. But he can't beat that Terence Crawford. He needs some help. To make a football analogy, I'm wearing a Niners sweater. To make a football analogy, in order for an inferior team to beat a superior team, they need some help from the superior team. They need to commit turnovers. They need to not execute properly. They need to come in overconfident. They need to help beat themselves to assist the inferior team. And that's the case, in my opinion, with Crawford and Spence. And this happening to Bomac is the first of a few things that could and need to happen for Spence to pull off a miracle in a rematch. He needs Crawford, for one, to come back down to earth. Crawford was out of this world July 29th. He wasn't the guy that got hit with right hands by David Avanesian. He wasn't the guy who got hit by right hands by Mean Machine Kaviaskis. Even the guy that stopped Sean Porter, he stepped it up a notch or two July 29th. He needs him to come back down to earth and be that guy who was getting hit with right hands at welterweight the last couple of fights by Porter, by Kaviaskis, by Avanesian in round 1. He needs that to happen. He needs to be stronger and better prepared at 154. He needs Bomac to maybe be behind bars, or if not behind bars, this to be a distraction for Team Crawford, a hindrance. So, Crawford, you're thinking to yourself, how in the world could he lose this rematch that he was so dominant in? This could be the beginning of a bad omen for Crawford heading into that fight. I'm not convinced of that. I still think Crawford wins. I still think the best case scenario for Spence in fight number 2 is what happened in fight number 2 for Evander Holyfield with Lennox Lewis. What happened in fight number 2 for Winky Wright and Shane Mosley, for Vernon Forrest and Shane Mosley, for Jermaine Taylor against Kelly Pavlik. He improves. He makes it a fight. He gets a moral victory. He goes from getting stopped or dominated to making it a real fight and giving a much better showing of himself. I know guys like Spence are proud and aren't into moral victories, but I believe that moral victory would satisfy Spence to a large degree, and I think that's the best case scenario. But with this news, like I said, if Spence is going to pull off a miracle in fight number 2, he needs some help from Crawford. He needs Crawford to assist him in that. And maybe this is the start of that. So, but we'll see. Let me say what's up to some people in the chat. We got almost 600 people here this morning, which is awesome. Boxing analyst said Zittel sells, rise up. That's a good one. It's a good name. Champion says continue speaking on the omen. Nicole Dunkley says maybe they set him up. He can't be that stupid to carry a gun to another country. Well, interesting thought there. Is there something going on? Is there something, did Daniel Kinahan is in? I don't know, but who knows? Who knows? We got to wait and see. I will speculate and give some opinion, but not to that degree. Got to wait and see a little bit what's going on. There's some reports that Bomac will have to be in jail until October 9th. I don't even know if that's fully true, but we'll see. I do know that the UK is not like the United States. It is not pro-Second Amendment. I don't really want to pretend to be educated in those matters, but even a stupid American like me knows that you fuck around with guns in Europe, it doesn't turn out well. But that being said, he is a very notable person with the best fighter in the world pound for pound, and that should help him in this situation a lot more than it would if he was another normal person, like me or you. But Why bring a gun to the United Kingdom? Is he afraid of, or not afraid? Is he weary of a Kell Brooks situation? People with machetes, people with knives. Is there some beef Bomac has in England that we don't know about? Because otherwise, it does seem kind of nonsensical to bring a gun over there. He's got a big team. Bomac shouldn't have to worry about fighting anybody or getting in any knife fights in the UK. So I don't know. Maybe back when Bud beat Ricky Burns, but that was in Scotland, I think. I don't even think that was in United Kingdom. Bomac made some enemies or something. Who knows? Maybe the Kinahan stuff. I don't know. Maybe because Bud used to give a cut to MTK and Kinahan, and they're weary about some of the gangsters out. I have no idea. I'm just literally rambling on it, but we will wait and see. I have no idea. We will wait and see. Speaking of Terence Crawford, another thing that happened over the weekend was Canelo Alvarez. Let's go ahead and look this up. Canelo Alvarez, Terence Crawford. Canelo Alvarez made some comments about Terence Crawford here. We'll see here on. So the quote was, like I always said, says Canelo, I respect Crawford. He's a very talented fighter, but he has just won one big fight. He pulled what he told me about David Benavidez after he beat Golovkin. One name, Anthony Darrell. So now he's hitting him with the one name, Errol Spence. Errol Spence. But he did a really good job against Spence. He almost made it look very easy. Well, Saul, he didn't almost make it look very easy. He did make it look very easy. I knew Crawford was a great fighter, but you never know in boxing. We'll see in the future. Right now, I'm 100% focused on Jermell, but we'll see in the future. If it makes sense, why not? So that fight is heating up. And, even though I want to see Canelo and Benavidez and I want to see Crawford and Boots, I'm all for Crawford and Canelo to find out who's the greatest fighter of this era. Terence Crawford says that he said in the Los Angeles press conference before he knocked out Errol Spence that everyone will say that boy is special, and y'all will say that it is the Terence Crawford era, just like there was the Floyd era, the Roy era, the Ali and Leonard era. I disagree with Terence. I'm not saying that pound for pound, head to head, if they were the same size, all things equal, that Terence is not the slightly more, not the slightly greater fighter. That's a different argument. But I do think Canelo's had the slightly greater career and has greater names on his resume. There's no doubt he has greater names on his resume, but we'll get to resume talk in just a moment. But if Crawford were to beat Canelo head to head, that would offset any talk I just said. It would now become the Crawford era. He would cement himself in the post Mayweather Pacquiao era, not Roman Gonzalez or Inoue or Canelo or Andre Ward even. He would cement himself as the greatest fighter in the post Mayweather Pacquiao era if he were to beat Canelo. So I'm all for Crawford and Canelo, even though I'd rather see them fight the biggest threats in their division, Boots and Benavidez. But the world don't revolve around what I want. The world revolves around money and accomplishments. And so that's the fight that takes the day. But in talking about resume, and quickly, let me get to this super chat. I do got a super chat from somebody in the chat, from Lady Chan Dun Dem Season. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Lady Chan. Lady Chan says, Bomac will be in prison till October 9th. Basically, trust me, I'm from Britain. She leaves the Union Jack flag. Thank you, Lady Chan. I'm just, sometimes, in America, I don't know how it works in Europe, but in America, money talks, bullshit walks. And if you know the right people, you got a great lawyer. If you're a famous person, you tend to get out of situations that most people cannot. But from what you're telling me, Lady Chan, that will not be the case back home where you're at in the United Kingdom. Thank you for the super chat, Lady Chan. Southpaw TV, thank you for the super chat. Says no more family-sized Cheeto bags for Bomac. There is your super chat, sir. Thank you. And but back to resume talk. So Canelo hits Crawford with the you only got one big name on your resume. And I've even talked about Crawford's resume. Crawford, first ballot Hall of Famer, all-time great, even at welterweight, easily, now being undisputed welterweight champion, the first in the four-belt era. All-time great at welterweight, all-time great fighter. But it is a fair question to ask, has he beaten a Hall of Famer on his record? There's the two guys that are probably the closest are Spence and Porter. Both of those guys, to me, Sean, I'd be tempted to vote in the Hall of Fame. One, because I love him. And two, because even though his accomplishments don't stack up to Hall of Fame level, he was willing to fight the very best of the best in an era where that became more and more rare. And so I almost want to accredit him that to make a good precedent to young fighters that win or lose, you really fight the best of the best and give everybody the best fights they want, you'll be rewarded. But Sean, to me, is more the Hall of the very good. And as of right now, so is Errol Spence. So that's Canelo's point. But a point I would make to clap back at Canelo is that you're both first ballot Hall of Famers. And your resume, while great, Canelo, is a little overrated. And you could literally pick apart anybody's resume in boxing. You could play the resume game and do glass half empty with basically anybody. Muhammad Ali, right? You could say the 3 Joe Frazier fights. Well, the one fight they fought in their prime, he really lost to Joe Frazier, and he didn't stop Frazier in the Thrilla in Manila till after George Foreman already knocked him out. He beat Foreman's leftovers, and then as for beating Foreman wasn't that good. He knocked out Frazier. He had the perfect style matchup, but he didn't win an elite fight for 20 years after that until Michael Moore, and he threw wild punches, and he really didn't become a smart fighter till he was old. Sonny Liston was old by the time Ali beat him. Floyd Patterson was old by the time Ali beat him. He really lost 2 out of 3 fights to Ken Norton. You know, you could do that with just about anybody. Joe Frazier, who'd he beat besides Ali? You know, you could do that. Floyd Mayweather. Chico Corrales was drained. Manny had already been knocked out by Marquez. Marquez wasn't really a welterweight and wasn't on the juice like he was when he fought Manny. Arturo Gatti was shot. De La Hoya had already been knocked out by Hopkins and had a receding hairline and little skinny fat on his back. Shane Mosley was 38 years old. You know, you could play that game with anybody, to be fair. But now that I said all that, Canelo's resume is a little overrated. To play the game with Canelo, and again, it's better than Crawford's, and Canelo is, to me, right now, got pole position for greatest fighter post-Mayweather-Pacquiao era. But doesn't mean I'd have picked him to beat Andre Ward at 68. Doesn't mean, you know, pound for pound, I think he's the very best head-to-head. But he's the most accomplished since then, and he's pretty damn good, too, eye test-wise. He's great. He's great eye test-wise. So, but to break down Canelo's resume, Lara, one of the best prime opponents he fought, very close fight. I scored that a draw. Could have went either way. He gets the decision. He didn't really fight Golovkin until Golovkin was 35-plus years old. He didn't fight the Golovkin that first got to America against HBO, and most people think he really lost the first fight. And then he won the second fight that arguably could have been a draw, even though I thought he won that fight. And moving on to the super middleweight run, Callum Smith was weight drained and didn't show up to fight, really. He walked straight back from pillar to post and never even tried to win. Billy Joe Saunders was a blown-up middleweight who really did nothing at super middleweight. You know, Caleb Plant has a win over Uzcategui, but hasn't done anything since. I mean, knocked out Darrell, but Darrell was ancient, and you know he beats Kovalev, who was shot pretty over the hill, had already been knocked out twice, and then he loses to Bivol, he loses to Mayweather, he fights an old Cotto who's small at 160 and at 155. Can't knock him out, can't knock out an old Cotto, a guy that a small Pacquiao knocked out 6 years before that. So you could play that game with anybody. That's not exactly how I really feel about Canelo's resume, but it's to highlight a point that if you want to do the glass half empty, you could do that with just about any fighter. So I respect Canelo, obviously. I do think he's the more accomplished fighter than Crawford, but I also think his resume is a little overrated, to be fair. And then Crawford's here and there might be a little underrated. Victor Postal isn't a guy that people beyond hardcore boxing fans really know about, but he was undefeated and had stopped Matisse, had a good jab, was very tall for 140. That's a little bit of an underrated win. Gamboa was undefeated, super uber talented, but was at a weight class he shouldn't have really been at. He was little, but it's still a great win because Gamboa was undefeated at the time, like Victor Postal. Mean Machine was undefeated. Kell Brook was shot, but he took him out in 4 rounds. He's the only guy who knocked out Sean Porter. Sean had 1 foot out the door, but Sean went the distance with all the other top welterweights. Bud stopped him. So you could argue a little bit. Maybe some of Crawford's wins on paper aren't as sexy, but in substance are better wins than they appear. And then vice versa with Canelo. On paper, oh, beautiful, Shane Mosley, Miguel Cotto, but then Shane was old. Cotto was older and small, and he didn't really ever drop him or hurt him or let alone stop him. So, you could play that game any way you want to slice it. But in the end, Canelo does have a better resume than Crawford. He is more accomplished. But if Crawford were to beat him head-to-head, he cements his place as the greatest fighter in the post, Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao era. So, got some super chats to go to. Let me go here. Let me see real quick. I think my man Hakeem Steels. Thank you so much for the super chat, brother. Good to see you again. Hakeem Steele says, on paper, yeah, Canelo has the better resume, but you can make a case that a majority of the big names were past their primes. And that's the case I made before seeing your super chat. So you get exactly what I'm getting at, Hakeem Steele. And the truth is usually somewhere in the middle. Like Floyd was an amazing... there was no better lawyer for Floyd Mayweather than Floyd Mayweather. That man could construe some rhetoric, and I mean that as a compliment for the most part. But I'm too big for Marquez. That's what y'all say. But I'm not too big for Pacquiao. But they the same size. Make that make sense. That was a doozy by Floyd Mayweather. But to use Floyd in his example, let Floyd tell it. He beat everyone in their primes. No excuses. Let a detractor tell it. He beat everybody before or after their primes or when they were weight trained or this or that. And the truth is usually somewhere in the middle. And that goes for most fighters' resumes. Even Sugar Ray Leonard, I'm talking earlier about how Spence needs some help from Crawford. In football, the inferior team needs help from the superior team. Needs some turnovers, needs some lack of preparation, lack of execution, overconfidence. Canelo with Charlo. Canelo needs to come in flat. Stamina needs to be iffy. Things like that for Charlo to get over the hump, pull off an upset. What was I just thinking? I just forgot. Chat, help me. Where was I going with that just before? I knew I was going to forget during that train of thought. Chat, help me out. Damn. Help me out, chat. Need some help. Lost my train of thought there. I got a super chat. True School Sports says, Canelo exposed by Bevo for life. There you go. Good stuff. Good stuff. Let me see. Quitting the chat. But yeah, that's it, man. That was my 22 minutes stream of consciousness. Yeah, somewhere in the middle. Charles N. Spicy chicken sandwich, not yet. So yeah, what's up though, chat? Got some Gail Falkenhall, great to see you. Gail Falkenhall says it's legal to fly in the United States with an unloaded gun. Great to see Gail Falkenhall, guys. Gail is an amazing rider from San Diego. Has watched boxing for many years, knows the sport so well, loves the sport, a true professional that I love seeing whenever I'm ringside. Shout out to you, Gail. But Gail says, and Gail doesn't just talk like me. She knows what she's talking about. It's legal to fly in the United States with an unloaded gun and ammunition in a lockbox and checked luggage. If Bomac does this all the time in the United States, it's possible that he spaced out while checking UK laws before he left. Right. We can be creatures of habit sometimes, Gail, and we do our routines. We go about our routines, and maybe Bomac did that and didn't think twice in the middle of doing that. So, could be the case. Let me see. Got a super chat from somewhere in the middle. Yeah, I was talking about somewhere in the middle. That was the point. But yeah, that's my point. Somewhere in the middle is where the resume stuff usually falls. Oh, excuse me. Now I remember. I was talking about how guys need help to beat them. Even Sugar Ray Leonard with Marvin Hagler. He needed some help to beat Hagler. He waited Hagler out, said, no, I won't fight you in 85. No, I won't fight you in 86. No, I won't fight you in 84. I'll come back and have a comeback fight. He got dropped and decided, nah, boxing's not for me. His second of 3 retirements, I think it was. And then, but then Marvin against Mugabe, he sees something, and then Marvin assisted Ray. How did he assist him in a fight that Ray wasn't supposed to win at middleweight? He, first of all, aged a little bit, and then second of all, he comes out and fights right-handed instead of southpaw, his best stance. And he fights it for 4 rounds and gives away 4 rounds to Leonard. So, anyways, that was the point that I got away from a couple minutes ago as I spaced it out, and all that weed I smoked too often kicked in on me. But that's the point I made. Even the great Ray Leonard, has wins that are somewhere in the middle. You can't just say Sugar Ray Leonard beat a prime, undisputed Marvin Hagler. No, he waited until Marvin slowed down a little bit, and then Marvin also helped him a little bit by fighting foolishly right-handed for 4 rounds. So it's not taking credit away when we mention things like that. Oh, you want to take credit away from him. Fair is fair. A win's a win. No doubt. But you got to be objective enough to point out the full context of these big fights. So Raider Reaper said, damn, this dad life is hard. My 6-month-old Ace Rider says, what's up, Sean? And how are you feeling on the Canelo Charlo, Haney versus Prograis, and Smith versus Beterbiev soon? Well, Beterbiev and Callum Smith, I like that fight if Callum Smith shows up to fight. If he shows up like he did against Canelo, he gets stopped. Canelo didn't stop him, but Beterbiev will. But if he let, I want to see Callum Smith let go of his left hook. He didn't even throw it against Canelo. That's his best shot, is his left hook. He's gotten some great knockouts with that left hook. It's the left hook that helped him become the winner of that tournament against George Groves, the super middleweight tournament that made him WBA champ. But even if Callum Smith shows up and if he lets that left hook go, he gives himself a fighting chance to win the fight, to pull off an upset against an old but still looking tremendous Artur Beterbiev. But even if Callum Smith shows up, lets that left hook go, I got Beterbiev beating him. But I got Bivol beating Beterbiev. As for Haney and Prograis, I got Haney. My man Hans Themistode, I'll be on Fight Take tomorrow at this same time around noon, or maybe, we're a little earlier than noon today, but we'll be on tomorrow at noon. Our guy out in New York City who also works for Boxing Scene, covers for us here at FightHype, Hans Themistode. He's got, well, I don't want to give it all away, but it sounds like he's actually, not that he has Prograis, but he thinks I'm being dismissive of Prograis' chances. I got Haney. I think when you struggle with Danielito Zorrilla, and I understand Prograis has a notch he could turn it up to rise to the occasion, fighting in a big fight, not fighting a Danielito Zorrilla. But when you see the kind of outside boxing ability, and I know he's a southpaw and Devin's not, that made Regis struggle so bad to hardly land a jab over 12 rounds, I think he's going to struggle with the boxing ability on the outside of Devin Haney. I got Devin Haney winning that fight. And then as for Canelo Charlo, I got Canelo. But I don't count Charlo out. Canelo, he's moved his camp to Tahoe. He says he's healthy. It's a big pay-per-view fight. He hasn't had a big pay-per-view fight since Plant. So there's some signs to lead us to believe he's going to be rejuvenated for Jermell Charlo, and that we're going to see a better version than the guy who fought Bivol, Golovkin, and Ryder. And if that's the case, I think he'll be fine. But if he shows up like he did for his last 3 fights, he gasses by the 7th and 8th, I think that Charlo can come on strong down the stretch and pull off an upset decision and out-hustle Canelo down the stretch. But even with Canelo being flat, that fight's going to be tough for Charlo in the first half. Charlo, to me, is a little bit of a sucker for right hands based on his balance, the way he leans over a little bit. But I still think, that's my take. If Canelo shows up like he has the last couple of fights, Charlo has a chance. But if Canelo shows up rejuvenated, all the same shots that were there for Brian Castano in those 2 fights, same kind of build to Canelo, they'll be there for Canelo. But Canelo's a much superior fighter to Castano. But he can land the same kind of shots that Castano did, and it'll be a lot more devastating at 68. I think Canelo wins a decision against Charlo. Charlo's tough, got a lot of fights with a lot of pride, has good legs, good speed, is a big 54 moving up, so I don't think Canelo will stop him. But I don't count him out, but I got Canelo Alvarez. Thank you for the super chat, Raider Reaper. Let me see here. Lady Chan, Dundem Season said, Sugar Shane just told me to say hi to you. Oh, that's amazing. Man, Lady Chan, tell the great Sugar Shane I said what's up. Top 3 lightweight ever in my book. Duran, Sweet Pea, and him. You were an incredible fighter, Shane. One of my favorites to ever watch, and I like that interview you did recently. I echoed a lot of your statements about Leonard, Hearns, and Floyd, and some of the other stuff you said in that interview recently was good stuff, Shane. So shout out to the Sugar Man, Sugar Shane. So let's see. My man True School Sports is in the chat, and my man True School, we did that first episode of Fight Take. We'll be doing another episode later this week. Tomorrow I'm gonna get my man Hans in the rotation. But later in the week, me and BT, True School, got to get it in again for episode 2 between me and him later this week. So be on the lookout for me and my man True School continuing to collab. What's up, Weedy Gonzalez? What's up, Andrew G? Let me see. What's up, School of Skills? What's up, Q Brown? Struggle Boxing, Extreme PC Gamer. Let me see. Paco Carlos said, this guy used to be unbiased, but now he's a huge hypocrite. Probably has martial problems, taking it out on Canelo's resume. Canelo's a first ballot Hall of Famer. I have a vote on the Hall of Fame. He'll be getting my vote in the first ballot. His picture is right behind me. Canelo's a great fighter. He has his claim, along with a few other greats, to greatest Mexican fighter ever. I think his resume is better than Crawford's. I was simply making a point about this man that maybe you worship a little bit, brother. What's your name? Paco Carlos. Don't have any false idols, brother. If all you heard through everything I said about that situation was Canelo hate, it's because you probably love Canelo too much as a fan. Fan is short for fanatic. It's not a good thing sometimes. And you're taking it too personally, Paco Carlos. I have more respect for Canelo. The depths of my boxing knowledge allow me to have a deeper respect for Canelo than you'll ever know, my friend. And I'll take sounding pretentious as I say that. It's my life, damn it. But yes, Sean has no martial problem, says my wife Samantha Sanchez, and she's Mexican, so I love Mexican people too. So get up out of here. Get up out. No, stay, Paco Carlos. Don't leave. But I had to respond. Canelo fans cannot understand criticism, says my man Malcolm X Box. Shout out to you, Malcolm X Box, always having my back. But to be fair, Malcolm X, it's not just Canelo fans. It's anybody who becomes too much of a hardcore fan for anything, basically. You know, it could be the 49ers. You know, it could be Terence Crawford, Errol Spence, Canelo Alvarez. It could be Chocolatito. It could be any fighter. You know what I mean? Once you get to the point where you think they're beyond any criticism, and you start doing that false idol worship, it's in my opinion, it's a problem. So that's just me. It's a free country still. I think so. You guys go ahead and idol worship all you want if you'd like, but it's just me. Paco Carlos said BR. I hope that stands for something good. So, and I hope I cleared it up for you, brother. Ain't nobody hating on your boy Canelo. So, Charles N said AOC 4. That's right. He's the best AOC, not Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Aiden O'Connell, the Irish cannon. You know, this year's Brock Purdy. So, we'll see. Oh, yeah. Oh, much love, Malcolm X Box. Yes, sir. Always appreciate your support, brother. True School Sports, the untouchable True School Sports. I'm going to try to touch my laptop in the area that True School has commented on. I can't. Hold on. Other hand. It's untouchable. I can't even through the computer screen. I can't touch the untouchable. He says True School Sports says Sean has contributed more to Mexican culture than a lot of other Mexican people in boxing. That's facts. That's his words, not mine. I'm not trying to get in any trouble with anything. So, For Legendary says Janibek won't come to 168. He's ducking. That is where all the smoke is at 68. But Janibek's he's not a big enough guy to fight with those big 68s like Benavidez and Morrell. He's fine sticking at 60. 60's wide open. That's where Janibek should stay. I don't think he's a super elite fighter. He might be the best middleweight. Jamal Charlo, when he actually fights and is actually active, he's the best middleweight. But he hasn't fought in 2.5 years. So, and all the important fights for him aren't at that division anymore. So, it's wide open. Chris Eubank has a chance to become a real world champion now, not just the IBO championship that he used to take to soccer games, a real world championship. He could do it. It's wide open. Jesus M asks about Elijah Garcia. I like Elijah Garcia. I like that he's opening up the Canelo Charlo card. Big middleweight. Maybe the best middleweight prospect we have in the United States is Elijah Garcia. Very calm, collected guy. Good power. Not the fastest. Doesn't have great hand speed, Elijah Garcia. But I really like him opening up the card. I like the Ugas and Barrios fight. I favor Mario Barrios to win that fight. I favor the younger guy. And then what's the other fight on that card? Jesus Ramos and Erickson Lubin. I think coming off the Fundora fight, I got to go with Ramos. I think before the Fundora fight, it's a much tougher fight for Jesus Ramos. Maybe a little too soon, too much too soon. But I think coming off the Fundora fight, I think Lubin got a win in since then, but still, that fight probably took a lot out of Lubin, and his punch resistance isn't the best. And Jesus Ramos is slower than Lubin, but is a good puncher and has good timing to make up for a speed deficit. I got Jesus Ramos, I got Mario Barrios, and of course I got Elijah, who's probably going to be in something of a showcase in the opener. But let me see. Angry Casual Fan, thank you for the super chat. Angry Casual Fan says, I think Bomac chased Spence the night he crashed. No. I've actually heard other things about that, but I don't know about if I should speculate about things I heard that happened that night. But thank you for the super chat, Angry Casual Fan. When's the next haircut? Says Ryan Hafey. Oh, I didn't even see that was Ryan. It's coming. It's probably, in all likelihood, pre-Canelo Charlo. Pre-Canelo Charlo, probably in the next week or two. I'll go see the girl Itzia. But then when my haircuts, they have a finite time of looking good. It's a sweet spot. They don't look good for the first 2 or 3 weeks, and they don't look good the last 2 or 3 weeks before they get cut. There's about a 2-month sweet spot that we're well past now. And I don't know Hafey, and I love you, Ryan Hafey. Shout out to Hafey, one of the great people that work at Premier Boxing Champions and Porterweight Podcast. I don't know which ugly look I want to go for Canelo Charlo. I'm too close to the fight now, probably, to get a haircut in time that it'll grow out and look good in time. And so, do I go with the shorter, ugly look or the longer-haired, ugly look? I might actually... I'll probably go with shorter-haired, ugly look just to look more professional. But me personally, I'd rather keep it long. I always like it longer. All right, but super chat from my man Matt's Adventures says... Bomac knew better than that. I'm a legal concealed carry permit holder, but you have to obey the law of the land. I hope he gets out of this, but dumb. Hard to argue what you're saying. It's not a smart thing. I've smoked weed on airplanes and shouldn't have, and pissed off in-laws on trips to Hawaii for how much I smoked weed in an airplane. It was with a pen. Full disclosure, just to show I'm not holier than thou as we critique some of these people in boxing. You know, I took a pen like this and kept going to the bathroom too many times and kept smoking weed in the bathroom until one of the stewards came around and told me, what are you doing? People can smell weed when you come out of the bathroom. And then my sister-in-law wanted to strangle me on the plane to Hawaii. I was mad at her. She was mad at me. So I do say what Bomac was doing was dumb, but I've done dumb shit on airplanes too, just to be fair. But Matt's Adventures, again, says Bomac knew better than that. I'm a legal concealed carry permit holder, but you have to obey the law of the land. I hope he gets out of this, but dumb. Fair enough, Matt's Adventures. Fair enough. Hawaii is a long fight, Raider Reaper. It is. Boxing analyst saying go bald. No. There's a big mole on my head located right here that no one has to see. I also have a very big head. And I think white guys not named Stone Cold Steve Austin don't look good bald. I think Stone Cold Steve Austin is the only white man that looks good bald, and I don't think I'd be the second one behind him. Chat, is there any other good white guys that pull off being bald that I'm not aware of? I don't think Mr. Clean. I don't think Right Said Fred and I'm Too Sexy. I don't count them. I don't count Mr. Clean. Trying to think of... Stone Cold Steve Austin's the only one, and I don't believe in my ability to join him in that club. So yeah, this is now beginning to digress away from serious boxing talk, as we could all. Bruce Willis, Joe Rogan, Joe Rogan, Goldberg, Butterbean, okay. Big Show, I liked Big Show with hair. I think Big Show with long hair looked a lot cooler. John Cena, no. John Cena with hair. Kurt Angle, even him with hair, I think was a better look. But he kind of pulled off bald. It looked cool. He got over bald. Vin Diesel, okay. I think Vin Diesel might be mixed, though. Andrew Tate is also mixed. Let's see. Jason Statham, The Undertaker. The Undertaker looked better with hair. We'll go, to join Stone Cold Steve Austin, we'll go Vin Diesel, Goldberg, Bruce Willis, Jeff Bezos, nah, no. Dana White, we'll go Dana White. Dana White, Goldberg, Butterbean, Bruce Willis, Kurt Angle maybe, yeah. Goldberg and Bruce Willis for sure. Stone Cold Steve Austin. All right, I think we got them all. Tyson Fury, Kratos from God of War. That's who Tyson Fury kind of looks like Kratos from God of War with the bald head, so he pulls it off. This is sus convo, bro. It is, Wilson. It is. Okay, we'll move off of it. You are correct. I was trying to make a point why I couldn't be bald. So, The Rock is not white. Fraud. So anyways, I think on that serious note, we can close. Triple H again with the long hair. But we will close on this before this conversation digresses, maybe even worse. Someone said David Tua. We've completely gotten off the original topic now. I will be back on tomorrow with my co-host Hans Themistode. Thank you guys so much for today. That is it for the show. God bless everybody, and I'll see everybody here on Fight Hype Live tomorrow for Fight Take with my man Hans Themistode. I'll be on Fight Take as well later in the week with my man Brendan Taylor's True School Sports. God bless everybody. Hold on, you missed some super chats, says Champy. Did I? What'd I miss? Let me make sure I didn't miss any super chats. Hold on. Ah, my bad. I did, Champy. Okay, all right. Before I get out of here, a couple super chats. Champy says Arizona runs boxing. David Benavidez, Jesus Ramos, Elijah Garcia. Yeah, Arizona. And Oscar Valdez. Even though he lost against Navarrete, and even though he's from, Puro Nogales, Mexico, he still reps that Tucson, Arizona quite a bit too. So Arizona has a lot of great Mexican-American talent, and I hope it continues to come out of there and we get more and more talent from Arizona. Had old school fighters like Tony Ayala had a lot of talent from Arizona too. I think Michael Carbajal was another. So Raider Reaper, thank you, brother, for the super chat. Says, I'm a fan of the Raiders, the Warriors, the Sharks, and Canelo. I'm a fan too, don't get me wrong. But we don't want to get too crazy with our fanaticism to where we lose objectivity. So I'm a fan of the Niners. I also like the Jets and the Dolphins in the NFL. I'm a fan of the New York Knicks. I got some love for the Lakers, watching them on FS West, FS1 since 1999, since the year they had Rodman for 10 games. So I got love for the Lakers, watching them all the way back Kobe and Shaq. Got love for my Yankees. And so, yeah, I'm a fan too. And then as for fighters, if I was being fan Sean, I like Boots and Benavidez. I want to see those guys get their shots at the big time, but we'll see. So, but that being said, everyone have a great rest of the time. D-Tech said Miami, baby. Michael Carbajal, yep, that's right, Champy. For everyone in the chat, thank all you guys for today, and have a great rest of the time. Shout out to Bomac. Hope everything gets resolved for him, and he'll be able to get everything fixed and be in the corner of Terence Crawford for fight number 2 with Errol Spence, if indeed that is what's going to happen. That isn't official yet either. But he was the guy who, Bomac had the biggest month. He dominated. He's on his way to Trainer of the Year. He made Chris Eubank 2 to 3 to 4 times better in a rematch. He announced the Spence Crawford rematch. PBC didn't announce it. Terence Crawford didn't announce it. Errol Spence didn't announce it. Bomac did. So I hope things get better for Bomac, and I hope things are good for everybody watching at home. God bless everyone. Have a great rest of the